Thank you very much. First of all, good morning everyone. I'm sincerely glad, proud, and glad to be here. And I would like to thank you, Mr. Jurkovic, to give me this opportunity, as well as Mr. Dr. Sanja Ivic, to support me as NIN magazine, to give me this great professional opportunity to present my research, my work, and I hope that after my lecture, after my presentation, there will be a great debate, and if someone does not agree or we should content or my presentation, I will be glad to open a great debate. So, the geopolitical competition involving the European Union and Russia about energy issues is, of course, one of the most debated topics, considering the strategic relevance of the energy security in the global economy. The high dependence on Russian gas imports has currently hampered the European Union to successfully undertake a diversification strategy, a strategy which allowed to lessen the European Union dependence on Russian imports. At the same time, European Union is looking for alternative energy partners, even if in the short or maybe in the medium term, Russia will be able to preserve its position. After the 2014 events, after the war between Ukraine and Russia is also looking for alternative partners in the energy sector, attempting to develop the so-called Eastern Vector, or to reduce the dependence on export to the European Union, trying to export toward the Asian markets, China, South Korea, and Japan. This is interesting because it is one of the first key points of this presentation. There is not only a European Union dependence on Russian gas imports, but currently also Russia depends on the European Union markets. There is a kind of interlinked dependence. And the aim of this lecture will be to analyze the main threats to the European Union energy security and the slow implementation of a diversification strategy. There are some hindrances which currently hamper the European Union, external hindrances which hamper the European Union to achieve this geopolitical aim. The second point, the geopolitical competition between European Union and Russia and their interlinked relation and interest in energy issues, and, in this scenario, the role of the Balkan route as alternative energy corridor to enhance European energy security, but also in order to legitimize itself in a political role, in an economic role, as well as to ensure their energy security condition. So, let's start with the definition of energy security condition. We can observe that there are two different perspectives. The perspective of the energy consumers, the availability of reliable supplies at affordable prices, the European Union, and the perspective of the energy suppliers, the guarantee of reliable revenues from their final market. So we can find a common point to ensure a regular energy supply without disruption. Because as the Ukrainian crisis showed to the European Union, if there is a long-term interruption of the energy flows, this situation represents a threat for both energy producers and energy consumers, if they are not able to implement a diversification strategy in order to find new routes, new sources to have gas. In the case of gas, but only for oil, and this slide shows my topic, because we can see that this is the EU total primary energy consumption, and we can observe the role of natural gas and oil. But if the situation is characterized by threats to the EU energy security condition, there are a lot of elements of vulnerability. First of all, a decreasing domestic production. The EU natural gas producers, such as Norway, Netherlands, have a stagnant or declining production. If the European gas demand will rise, European Union will need additional imports, so a high dependence on oil and gas imports. Currently, the situation is this one: 90% of dependence of the European oil demand for imports, and the European Union gas demand depends on 70% for natural gas imports. So, is a clear dependency, is a clear element of vulnerability. The second point is that there is this unbalanced scenario, unbalanced situation, mainly because there is a slow implementation of a diversification strategy. And another point is that the European Union gas suppliers, most of them are affected by political and social instability. Okay, not Norway, but we can also add Saudi Arabia or the Middle East Gulf suppliers, or Russia in the case of the instability in Ukraine, or Venezuela, or other countries which play a role as oil and gas suppliers for the European Union. And the last point, the vulnerability linked to the transit through the maritime choke points. For example, oil from Saudi Arabia or liquefied natural gas from Qatar should cross 3 maritime choke points before to reach the European Union markets, or routes Bab el-Mandab and Suez. This slide shows the EU gas suppliers, and we can observe the role of Norway as the second supplier for the European Union, but a reliable and stable energy supplier. But of course the role of Russia, which is the main gas supplier for the European Union. In 2016, for the second year, EU gas consumption was up, this time for 7.4%, and while domestic production was down by 2%. So the problem is this rising dependence, and this is the current scenario and the projection for the future. EU gas demand in 2016 was 467 billion cubic meters of gas, and EU gas imports reached 327 billion cubic meters of gas. Of course, I know there are numbers, but they are useful to show the clear picture of the EU dependence. In this scenario, Russia is the main supplier, 153 billion cubic meters of gas if we consider EU 28, but 180 billion cubic meters of gas if we also add Turkey. Another problem is that in spite of a high capacity of regasification, more than 80% of imports to the European Union are delivered via pipeline. According to the projection, in 2030, European Union will need 120 billion cubic meters of gas as additional natural gas imports. A declining production, a rising demand, additional gas imports. We can also observe that the problem of the European Union energy security became more relevant following the enlargement of the European Union for the Central and Eastern European countries, the post-Soviet countries, because there are countries which are totally dependent on Russian gas imports. Slovakia, Bulgaria, 3 Baltic countries depend on Russian gas imports. Generally, 10 European Union countries imported more than 75% of total national imports of natural gas from Russia. But, at the same time, there are not only post-Soviet countries which are strongly dependent on Russian gas imports. Also, the Western countries, Italy and Netherlands, are dependent on Russian gas imports from 25 to 50% of their total imports. And Germany, which is one of the main partners, of course, of Gazprom and Russia in the energy sector, and Russian imports cover 75% of total national imports. The same similar numbers concerning the oil dependence. And the condition of vulnerability linked to the dependence on Russian energy imports clearly emerged in the case of sudden disruption of the energy flows, like the Ukrainian crisis in 2006, 2009 and 2014, because Ukraine and Belarus are strategic corridors for Russian exports. Before the start of the Nord Stream gas pipeline, so in 2012, 80% of Russian export to Europe crossed the Ukraine territory. We can, in the case of interruption of the energy flows, the problem is for the Eastern and for the Southern Europe, as well as for the Balkan countries, because they depend on the transit route crossing the Ukraine territories. There are not alternatives in order to lessen this dependence, in order to ensure regular supplies as the energy security condition imposes. Okay, before the launch of the Nord Stream, and we can also observe another problem after the Ukrainian crisis. Russia is not a reliable partner in the energy security for the European Union. European Union should try alternative energy partners in order to boost the energy security. At the same time, for the European Union, there is another problem linked to energy security concerning threats. The Arab Spring events. The Arab Spring events clearly show that traditional long-term oil and gas suppliers for the European Union, like Libya, Egypt, or other countries, are affected by a condition of political and social instability. And this scenario could affect the regular of energy supplies. For 10 months in 2011, the Green Stream gas pipeline from Libya to Italy completely stopped. So Italy did not receive gas from Libya, and this was a threat to Italian energy security. Before the war, before the Arab Spring events in 2011, Libya covered 10% of EU total oil imports, was the first oil supplier and the third gas supplier for Italy. Algeria was not involved in the Arab Spring events. It's an important partner for the European Union gas scenario. It's the third gas supplier for the European Union, but Algeria was affected by the terrorist threat in 2013, the terrorist attack, the Islamist attack to In Amenas gas field and gas infrastructure, which cut the possibility of Algeria to export gas. One of the key points in this energy partnership between North Africa and EU, okay, the geographical proximity, the large oil and gas reserves, but oil and gas reserves from North Africa are strategic for the European Union because they don't have to cross any maritime choke points, like Ukraine as a transit country, or for Saudi Arabia or Qatar gas concerning the maritime choke points. We can observe in this slide very quick, but it's useful for our presentation, that there is not alternative of oil and gas crossing Hormuz Straits. Only two alternatives: Saudi Arabia, but we have to cross also the Suez choke points, and United Arab Emirates, which develop a pipeline crossing the Hormuz Straits. But, and this slide also shows the strategic relevance of Hormuz for the global, not only for the European Union, for the global energy security. We can observe very quickly all the Qatar LNG capacity of export depends on the transit of this choke point, and 75% of Saudi Arabian oil export means more than 5 million barrels of oil per day, which cross this choke point. So, after the annexation of Crimea, after the war, the competition between the European Union and Russia concerning Ukrainian events, the European Union should develop the energy security strategy document in order to ensure the security, the energy security, in order to ensure alternative sources of gas to enhance the energy security condition. And we can outline three main directions or strategic orientation, which are inspired by the strategic need to reduce the dependence on Russian imports. But at the same time, we can observe that the problem is not solved. There are a lot of external means, Russian opposition and EU inability to easily play this strategy of diversification. The first point, the promotion of the Southern Gas Corridor. The Southern Gas Corridor will be fueled with Caspian or Central Asian gas, but also including Middle East producers like Iran, Iraq or Kurdistan, and the Eastern Mediterranean potential producers, Cyprus, Israel and Egypt. The second point, the development of LNG facilities and the role of US LNG export. Following the success of the shale oil and gas revolution in the United States, maybe in the framework of the North Atlantic Alliance, United States could help the European Union to diversify the energy mix to ensure the energy security. But during my presentation, we highlight the different points, and we can conclude that United States will not be able to strongly support the European Union energy security condition. There are other LNG producers which could help the European Union, like Zohr gas field developed by the Italian Eni in Egypt or the Leviathan in Israel. The third point is one of the key points of this strategy and one of the successful moves of the European Union policy, accelerating the construction of the key interconnectors to facilitate reverse flow of energy in order to overcome potential disruption. Let's start to the first point, the Southern Gas Corridor. The Southern Gas Corridor is the flagship project of the European Union strategy of diversification. Currently, only Azerbaijan will be the main supplier of this corridor. Southern Gas Corridor will be composed by three pipelines. The South Caucasus pipeline, the first segment of the Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum, which is currently on stream, and two projects, the Trans-Anatolian Gas Pipeline from Azerbaijan to Turkey, and the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline from Turkey crossing Greece and Albania, an offshore section in order to reach Italy. Trans-Adriatic Pipeline maybe will be completed in 2020, and it will deliver 10 billion cubic meters of gas, of which 8 billion cubic meters will be transported to Italy, and the remaining in Greece and Bulgaria. The problem is that even if the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline could double its capacity to 20 billion cubic meters of gas, we can observe that this project could improve the European Union energy security condition, but not changing the imbalanced dependence on Russian imports. It would only cover 2% of total current European Union demand. So it's not enough. It's a way to diversify, but it's not enough. Moreover, the Trans-Anatolian Gas Pipeline, nominal capacity 16 billion cubic meters of gas, could be expanded, according to the organizers, to 30 or 60 billion cubic meters of gas in 2030. The problem is to find gas suppliers in order to enhance this energy corridor. The problem is that the potential gas suppliers are not able to enhance the Trans-Anatolian Gas Pipeline in order to have a capacity, a Southern Gas Corridor with a capacity of 60 billion cubic meters of gas, which could challenge Russia's dominant position in the European Union energy security condition. First of all, Azerbaijan is not able to produce more gas for the Southern Gas Corridor. One or potential gas supplier, Turkmenistan, the fourth largest gas reserve in the world, but the problem is to complete the missing link in the Caspian, the realization of the Trans-Caspian pipeline in order to realize to the Southern Gas Pipeline. Russia is opposing to this project because it's a geopolitical challenge for Russia, a project which could deliver 60 billion cubic meters of gas to the European Union, could challenge the current domination of Russia in the region. So Russia, as one of the 5 littoral states in the Caspian, is opposing to develop this project. The instability in the Middle East is also affecting the possibility to reorient to north the gas production of Iraq or maybe Iran if Trump administration does not change the Obama political of openness to the Iran. Another project is the economic feasibility of the East Med pipeline, exploiting the offshore gas reserves in Israel and Cyprus in order to develop this project, which is supported as a project of common interest by the European Union, but it will be an expensive project to realize 2 offshore pipelines, moreover to solve Cypriot and the Turkish problems linked to the offshore waters of Cyprus. So it's not an easy project to realize, but could be help the European Union. But the capacity of this project will be only 8 billion cubic meters of gas. We can remember that shortly. This is the scenario of the European Union. If we want to reduce the dependence on Russian imports, we need additional growing volume of gas in order to compensate a potential reduction of Russian gas. The second point is the shale revolution. Can the United States play the role of potential supplier for the European Union? The success of the shale revolution in the United States and the consequent growing production of unconventional gas opens up the possibility of additional volumes of gas for export. In 2016, Sabine Pass export terminal commenced its commercial operation, and by 2020, United States will be the 3rd largest LNG exporter after Qatar and Australia. The problem is that the prediction on US gas export elaborated by the US Energy Information Administration highlight that by 2030, United States will have an export capacity of 96 billion cubic meters of gas. Nevertheless, currently the potential US role has been widely supported for geopolitical reasons in the competition between United States and Russia. But at present, the impact of LNG export from the United States are very limited. Until May 2017, out of more 50 cargoes loaded at Cheniere-operated Sabine Pass, only 3 reached the European Union. And currently, Asian markets, South Korea, Japan, also China, are attractive markets because they are able to pay more to have LNG export. Japan is the main LNG importer in the world, and South Korea is the 2nd LNG importer in the world. So, for United States export, it's more profitable to export to Asian markets rather than to the European Union. Even if in June 2017, Poland will receive its first US LNG cargo. So it could be a way to diversify, but the potential export capacity of the United States will not change the current scenario. Concerning the LNG option for the European Union, currently 20% of total transport route to the European Union, 80% by overland pipeline. The European Union can benefit of a high regasification capacity, 200 billion cubic meters of gas, but is largely not used. Only 1/4 of the EU regasification capacity is used. And there is a problem because this capacity is abundant, but is geographically located in the western part of the Europe, in the Atlantic Sea. The western countries are dependent on Russian gas imports, but there is not the the geopolitical problem linked to the dependence on Russian gas imports. At the same time, Lithuania and Poland developed two LNG terminals which are helping these countries to reduce the dependence on Russian imports. Concerning Lithuania, access to LNG capacities has enabled Lithuania to have lower prices concerning Russian imports. So Lithuania now is able to have lower prices concerning LNG facilities. Concerning Poland, Poland currently is able to compensate Russian gas imports to its territory because Poland developed this LNG terminal, and also Poland was also able to develop a reverse flow from Slovakia in order to ensure its energy security. The agreement with Gazprom will expire in 2022, so Poland now could be ready to find alternatives to Russian gas. The problem, in my opinion, in the opinion of energy security analysts, is the risk concerning an alternative dependence from Russian gas to Qatar gas in the case of Qatari LNG imports, in the case of LNG facilities. Because currently Qatar covers total Belgium and Poland LNG imports and nearly 90% of Italy and UK LNG imports. So the problem is also to diversify in the LNG sector. LNG could be an option, but the problem is try to avoid to jump from one dependence to another dependence. Okay, the third point, the energy interconnectors. The construction of key interconnectors to facilitate reverse flow of energy in order to overcome potential disruption increase the flexibility of the EU energy system. In the last years, different new reverse flow options have been created. The total central and East European East-West reverse flow capacity now stands at about 147 billion cubic meters of gas per year. This infrastructure and future projects will improve market integration in Central Europe, bringing to life the long-awaited North-South gas corridor and opening Croatian, Greek and Polish LNG terminal to the region. Maybe? Yes. The strategic concept behind the North-South gas corridor, which will form a backbone for the development of gas transport interconnectors and run between Poland to Croatia, crossing Eastern European countries, connecting Baltic Sea to the Adriatic Sea, and in this framework a big role will be played from Kirk Island LNG in Croatia and of course Poland, and another LNG terminal which Greece is developing in Alexandroupolis, and which is also supported by the European Union because will be economically supported in the framework of the project of common interest. So, improve the market integration and the successful example of Slovakia. Thanks to the realization of the interconnector with Hungary, Slovakia has found a concrete option to partially reduce the dependence on Russian energy imports. Slovakia gets all of its gas from Russia through the Ukraine, and to exploit its geographic condition of landlocked country. And Slovakia could play a role in this north-south gas pipeline, like a hub, and also to ensure its energy security condition. The same role currently is played by the Czech Republic, which could benefit of Russian gas from Nord Stream gas pipeline, and also in the reverse flow from Slovakia. And EU members agreed in February 2017 on a proposal to invest 444 million in key EU energy infrastructure projects. The first one will be the Kirk offshore LNG terminal in Croatia, and the second one, the Poland-Slovakia gas interconnector. This is the situation concerning the European Union. The other partner in this kind of geopolitical competition is Russia. Russia's policies toward the European Union are mainly aimed to ensure its condition of energy security as an energy supplier in order to have regular export to the European Union, waiting for the development of the eastern sector. I spoke before as an interlinked dependence because also Russia depends on the European Union gas markets. Moscow needed to protect its energy routes of export because in 2016, 73% of Russian gas export are delivered to EU 28 markets, which reach 85% concerning the Western vector, waiting for the realization of the Eastern vector, the so-called pivot to Asia strategy, the development of projects like the Power of Siberia project, the cooperation with China, the development of energy facilities in order to supply, to meet the demand in South Korea and Japan. Waiting for the development of the Eastern vector, Europe is an important market for Russia and also for the European Union, and long-term disruption of energy flows to the from Russia to the European Union crossing Ukraine represent a threat for the Russian security conditions. So, after the crisis in 2006 and 2009, also Russia is interested to develop a diversification strategy focused on the strategic target, the strategic goal to bypass the Ukrainian transit. So, Russia supported the creation of two alternative routes, a northern route and the southern route. The northern route is the Nord Stream corridor, and now the project to double the capacity of the Nord Stream, realizing the Nord Stream 2 project, and the southern corridor, the old South Stream pipeline, which currently could become the Turkish Stream pipeline. Okay. We can clearly observe in this slide the geopolitical aim of Russia in realizing Nord Stream gas pipeline. Of course, to avoid the Ukraine transit in order to enhance its energy security for regular flows to the European markets. But this pipeline bypassed the three Baltic countries and Poland in order to reach the German markets. So it's a problem in the case of interruption because of the transit flow crossing Ukraine, because Western countries could benefit of Nord Stream. Poland, the Baltic countries, the Eastern countries, as well as the Southern European countries and the Balkan countries have not an option in order to compensate a potential stop of the gas flows crossing Ukraine. This is the Nord Stream gas pipeline, but we can go to this slide after. The nominal capacity of Nord Stream is 55 billion cubic meters of gas. This project started in 2012 and clearly highlights the so-called rivalry between the old Europe, Germany, France, Italy, and the new Europe, Poland, Slovak, the three Baltic countries, which accused the old Europe of a lack of solidarity, because we are all members of the European Union. Energy security of 28 states, not only the energy security of the Western countries in the European Union. So the opposition of the Poland and the Baltic countries, which have not, had not an alternative in order to compensate the potential closure of Gazprom. At the same time, Nord Stream never developed its total capacity because the EU rules block Gazprom attempt to exploit all Nord Stream gas pipeline, and Gazprom could use the Opal pipeline only for the 50% of its capacity. So Gazprom before October 2016 was able to deliver to the European markets only 36 billion cubic meters of gas rather than 55. Even if in October 2016 European Union changed, the European Commission changed its attitude toward Gazprom, allowing it to develop from 50 to 80% of the Opal pipeline. Okay. The second problem is that the European Union Commission currently is not opposing to another project, the Nord Stream 2, which will double the capacity of export of Russia to the European Union. Is the problem, the key problem of the EU energy security. Additional gas, Russian gas to the European Union will meet the European Union gas demand, but it's not diversification strategy because the source is the same, Russian gas. It would not help European Union to diversify the energy mix. There is an international consortium created by European Union energy companies in order to promote this Ugal pipeline, which could strengthen Russian grip on EU energy security. The Ugal pipeline, with a planned capacity of 51 billion cubic meters of gas, will reach the Germany, also supplying gas to the eastern countries and maybe exploiting the existing interconnection, reaching also Austria and maybe Western Balkans. And the combination of this framework of pipeline, the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, will increase the availability of gas for the European Union markets, also legitimizing Russia's role as a dominant supplier for the European markets. Concerning this project, the European Union is divided on Nord Stream 2 because Germany and Western countries are backing this project. But the problem is the development of this additional pipeline could be included in this kind of geopolitical competition, mainly because the main transit hub for this gas will be the central gas hub in Baumgarten in Austria, which will be also the main hub for the southern gas corridor. In the past, Gazprom will be able to, with the so-called divide and rule strategy, in order to ensure with the OMV, Austrian energy companies, in order to have share in the energy partnership with Austria. So, it's the weakness of the European Union which is allowing Russia to strengthen the grip on the energy in the EU energy sector. Because the Gazprom aim is economic, of course, but also geopolitical. Because if Russia is not able to contain European Union project, we lose some part of the business linked to the Western vector, the vector of export to the European Union. In this slide, we can observe what South Stream was in order to supply the southeast and east, as well Balkan countries, with this project, which has a capacity of 63 billion cubic meters of gas. And the new Turkish Stream gas pipeline, which will not cross Bulgaria, but will go to Turkey, and then to reach the European Union markets. The problem is another one. If South Stream was a geopolitical challenge to the so-called Nabucco project, South Stream was conceived to cross the same countries interested to Nabucco. Now the Turkish stream will follow a different corridor, but it's changed the European Union approach, because the Trans-Adriatic pipeline was a kind of reduced Nabucco project and will serve not countries which need to diversify their energy mix like this one, but Albania, Italy, and Western countries. So the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, if the Ionian Adriatic pipeline will not be developed, will serve countries which are not in an unbalanced dependence on Russian gas imports. The third energy package of the European Union was a way to boycott the South Stream project, because the EU strongly opposed to the South Stream project because the intergovernmental agreement were not fully complying the rules of the third energy package. The unbundling between the suppliers and the owners of the infrastructure. Gazprom was the supplier and also engaged to develop the infrastructure, and granting of third-party access to the transmission of the distribution system. The Turkish Stream pipeline will have a reduced capacity, 31 billion cubic meters of gas. The first stream will meet Turkish demand. The second one will meet European Union gas demand. The problem is that it is not a coincidence that the Turkish Stream pipeline project is slated for completion in 2019. This is the same year that Russian contract with Ukraine on transit of Russian gas shipment to Europe will expire. So Turkish Stream is a way to deliver gas to the countries which without bypassing the Ukraine territory. And in order to enhance this geopolitical explanation of the Russian and the European Union competition concerning Russian gas, there is a possibility for Russia to exploit an old European Union project, the Poseidon gas pipeline. Poseidon was the offshore link from Greece to Italy, which was part of the interconnector between Turkish and Greece. It is a way to start a competition with the European Union, with the Southern Gas Corridor, with the Trans-Adriatic pipeline. It's the same route. Also the Trans-Adriatic pipeline will reach South Italian markets in the same region, Apulia region. Is a way to try to mark Gazprom position in the same markets of the Trans-Adriatic pipeline. We can observe the same route, but it could be an option for the second stream of the Turkish Stream in order to reach the markets, even if there is the possibility to develop a northern route of the Turkish Stream exploiting the so-called Balkan route, the Balkan energy routes. So let's start to talk about the Balkan energy route. In this geopolitical competition, there is the possibility to exploit the Balkan energy route, because it's a strategic, geographically speaking, in order for political, economic, and energy reasons. Given its geographic position, Balkans could become a transit corridor connecting Caspian and potentially Mediterranean energy supply to the European Union energy market, strengthening political relations and energy cooperation with the European Union. Moreover, the Adriatic countries could benefit from their geographical position in a potential implementation of several infrastructure projects. The combination between LNG facilities, overland pipelines, LNG facilities in the north-south corridor starting from Kirk LNG facility, or other which will be developed in the Mediterranean and also in the Adriatic Sea. In the economic sphere, the role of the Balkans as a transit corridor or energy bridge between the European Union market and Caspian sources should also ensure financial revenues from the energy transit fees, and the Adriatic countries will be better connected to the regional and European Union gas grid, allowing them to overcome the fragmentation of the markets and contributing to creating an integrated European energy system. In this case, the development of the Ionian Adriatic gas pipeline represents a priority in its potential merge with the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, the red and the green segment of this slide. Considering that these two projects are profoundly interlinked in the framework of the Southern Gas Pipeline, the Ionian Adriatic gas pipeline should link the Trans-Adriatic pipeline in Albania to the gas network of Croatia and Montenegro. But there is the possibility to develop some kind of branches to reach the other Balkan countries in the framework of the Europe energy security, not the European Union, but the Europe energy security framework, involving also countries which are not belonging to the EU, like Serbia. In this way, the role of Balkan countries, the capacity of the Ionian Adriatic gas pipeline is not large, 5 billion cubic meters of gas until now, but it could be strategic also in order to develop political relations, to strengthen political relations of countries like Serbia, which are not EU countries, but could be interested to develop an energy and political partnership with the European Union. Moreover, this pipeline will be fueled not only with Azeri gas, but the Kirk gas pipeline, which could also reach gas from Qatar, gas from the United States, or maybe from Australia, in order to develop this opportunity. And now, it was a kind of speculation of analysts, but now the situation is could be really lucky for the Ionian Adriatic gas pipeline. Concerning the problem of the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, the last section of the Trans-Adriatic pipeline to Italy. As you know, there is a strong opposition in Italy concerning the last section of this Trans-Adriatic pipeline in order to realize this offshore pipeline. So, if the project will be realized by 2020, the Ionian Adriatic pipeline will play a role. In spite of to deliver gas offshore, the gas from the Trans-Adriatic pipeline will follow another corridor connecting directly the Ionian Adriatic pipeline. In this way, the Balkans will play a significant role to ensure the energy security of the European Union. The Balkans will be the real alternative for the European Union in its diversification strategy and in the contribution in order to implement the Southern Gas Corridor. At the same time, as I explained, Balkans are also strategic in the North-South gas pipeline. Not only, of course, the connection between the two LNG facilities in the Baltic, Poland, and in Croatia, Kirk, but also with the further interconnection which will be developed along this north-south corridor. Russia and Balkans in this geopolitical energy competition. Of course, we can observe that the South Stream gas pipeline will be a way for Russia to preserve its energy influence in the Balkans, of course. But South Stream gas pipeline will be a tool for the countries of the region to have additional gas supplies. Of course, there is not a diversification, but there will be other additional volumes of gas. Currently, South Stream died, and maybe the Turkish Stream gas pipeline will be developed following a Balkan perspective. But it's not the same thing. Now, only Serbia plays a role. Of course, Russia is trying to boycott the Southern Gas Corridor. And if the Ionian Adriatic pipeline will cross as a main corridor of the Southern Gas Corridor, the Balkan region could be a problem for Russia, not only maybe not in terms of business, but in terms of geopolitical presence in the region. Until now, Russia developed a profitable energy partnership with Serbia, of course, but in another alternative project with involving Russia and other eastern countries. The project, which is only in the paper, the Tesla pipeline. The Tesla pipeline will highlight the role of Serbia as a gas hub from the Turkish Stream crossing the Balkans to the Central and the East European market, enhancing the role of Serbia in this scenario. Mainly because this project will have a capacity of 27 billion cubic meters of gas. Trans-Adriatic pipeline, the current capacity in 2020 will be only 10, maybe 20. So this project, fueled with Russian gas, will clearly challenge the Southern Gas Corridor. So this slide and my presentation, I hope, will be useful to explain this geopolitical and energy competition from one energy consumer, the European Union, and one of the largest energy suppliers in the world, Russia, for the same markets. But they have some shared, currently, they are interlinked interests, because Russia was not able to find alternative markets like the Eastern Vector. And the European Union is not able to break their energy relations with Russia in order to diversify the energy markets, because Russia will be in the long and the medium term the main gas supplier for the European Union. In conclusion, most of these topics have been analyzed during my presentation. I think that also renewable sources like hydropower capacity in Slovenia or in other countries, in Germany, in Italy, the solar plants could be an option to diversify the energy mix. But we can also point out that natural gas is considered the transition fuel from a fossil fuel system to a clean system of energy, clean production of electricity. So natural gas will be important in the medium term as a transit fuel. Currently, so Russia will legitimize its role as main gas exporter to the European Union. The Balkan route is important, as I say, in the political and energy, but I think that in the political dimension, the Balkan route is important, because it could be a way, a strategic card for the Balkan countries involved, EU countries like Croatia, which could enhance its legitimation, its role in the European Union as one of the countries which help the European Union in the diversification strategy, but also other countries like Albania, like Serbia, helping the European Union to enhance the energy security, but also to start a new framework of political cooperation in different fields. And Nord Stream and Turkish Stream will be useful for the European Union, considering a growing gas demand, even if the European Union should reduce the oil imports in order to create a clean energy mix. Natural gas as a transition fuel, but Nord Stream and Turkish Stream will increase gas volumes will meet European Union gas demand, but there is not a diversification of sources. And in conclusion, I think that jumping to the title of my lecture, the slow implementation of the diversification strategy. There are a lot of potentiality for the European Union of diversification, but no one of these could really change this interlinked geopolitical conditionality and dependence involving Russia and the European Union. I thank you for your attention, and I hope that there will be a lot of questions which could be debated in this distinguished audience. Thank you very much.
Grazie mille. Ovo je bilo zaista puno od svega iz vašega, što bi rekli, u jednom dosta intenzivnom predavanju. Kolega Indeo je otvorio zaista čitav niz i dao dosta podataka i mislim da ćemo imati materijala za ovo zanimljivo pitanje i debatu. Lično moram da kažem da posle ovo još više razumemo čuvenu izjavu gospodina Kerija, bivšeg sekretara spoljnih poslova, dakle ministra spoljnih poslova Sjedinjenih Država, koji je pre 2 godine rekao, ako sećate, da je Balkan i naša zemlja na liniji vatre, dakle u ovom novom sukobu, i videli smo kako se prepliču, dakle, i energetske, i geopolitičke, i čak kulturološke, na neki način, neke bi rekli, identitetske i civilizacijske rute preko energetskih puteva. Da ne dužim, još jednom hvala kolegi Indeu i evo otvaramo za razliku. Pitanja, debata, komentari, evo izvolite. Samo molim vas, pošto ne znamo se svi što kaže dolazi na različiti, samo se predstaviti i zbog kolege.
Ja sam dr. Vojislav Vuletić, predsjednik Udruženja za gas Srbije. Meni je gospodine Indija ovo predavanje bilo interesantno i shvatio sam ga kao želju Evropske unije da opravda svoju nemogućnost da obezbedi Evropskoj uniji one količine prirodnog gasa koje su potrebne. Izmišljeni gasovodi na Buku West, Tesla, TANAP, TAP, Agri, Galaxy, Sahara, su gasovodi u kome nema gasa. Kolega je rekao samo u jednom trenutku, kada govori o Južnom koridoru, ne mogu da nađu ponuđača koji bi mogao da napunje gasa. Gasa nema. Da se Rusija odstrane, neka pokuša Evropa, a to je neće biti lako. Dakle, u ovim gasovodima koje je on pomenuo, gasa nema. Nije pomenuo gasovod u kojima gasa ima. To je takozvani islamski gasovod, to je takozvani arapski gasovod. Arapski gasovod su gasovodi koji bi odevali Evropu iz Katara i Saudijske Arabije preko Sirije i Turske. Islamski gasovod je gasovod koji bi irački i sirijski gas transportovao preko Sredozemnog mora, obilazi Tursku, Evropu. 2011. godine Irak i Sirija su potpisali ugovor o snabdevanju Evrope islamskim gasovodom i te godine Asad proglašen za diktatora i desilo se sa Sirijom to što se desilo. Dakle, Evropa nema gas. Druga mogućnost koja se nudi Evropi su takozvani utečeni prirodni gas LNG. U svetu postoji 78 postrojenja koja proizvode utečeni prirodni gas. Ovo je napravljeno 69. godine u Americi, 50% od ovih su uredili poslije nekoliko godina. Njihov ukupni kapacitet je 250 milijardi kubnih metara gasa. Prošle godine su proizvodi 194 milijarde tečnog gasa, uporediti sa 3200 milijardi koje su proizvedene u 2016. godini i potrošene, to je 6%. Dakle, tečni gas ne može Evropi da zameni gas koji je potreban. Dakle, gasni škriljac je jednostavno jedna lepa priča, ali koja je nemoguće da se ostvari. Poljska i Litvanija napravili su poštenje za diversifikaciju koja zove razmer gasa nema. Dakle, sve su to priče koje lepo zvuče i to je dobro što Evropa pokušava sebe da na neki način uteši kako će sve ovo da se realizuje, kako će sve ovo da bude dobro. Neće da bude dobro, bez ruskog gasa, zapravo se ne.
Hvala vam, da citiram predsjednika Srbije koji kaže 5 godina me ubeđuju da ima udjel za diversifikaciju, samo što nema gasa. Šalim se malo, ali zaista ima realnost u tome. Kolega Indea, izvolite.
Ja sam inženjer i govorim kao inženjerski, ne govorim kao političar, jer kod nas inženjera 22 čeka. Kod političara kako se govori? Koliko skupi energije? Koliko skupi energije?
Fabio, do you want to respond?
Ne, kako se pitanje koliko je skupi, sve što gasiš.
Gospodine, postoje pitanje vama slobodno, energetskog je naravno.
Can I reply?
Yeah.
Thank you for your speech because it's true. It's true. Two things I want to have. The first one was the good example to develop the Islamic pipeline. This could be an alternative for the European Union, even if there will be a lot of problems concerning the security in the transit. But the capacity of the countries, Saudi Arabia holds the 5th largest gas reserves in the world. So Saudi Arabia connecting with Qatar, the third largest gas reserve in the world, could be a real option to help the European Union strategy of diversification. But of course, the war in Syria amplified this opportunity. But it was really one of the best options to diversify because there were some big suppliers which could help the European Union. The second point is concerning the shale revolution. Of course, there are a lot of topics will be analyzed and a lot of issues, and I try to concentrate on Europe and Russia. But also concerning the shale revolution, first of all, no one say the future of shale revolution in the United States. Now is a successful story, but then after 2030, United States will be able to produce enough gas to satisfy internal demand and also to preserve a potential role of export? In my opinion, not, because shale gas, shale oil are geopolitical instruments in order to change, to play another role for the United States in the energy scenario. And trying to develop the shale gas or shale oil revolution in Europe, in the Middle East, it's not so easy. One example, one of the main shale gas deposits in Europe are in France, inside the Ile de France. It's impossible to exploit. It's under Paris. It's impossible to exploit. So in Europe there is not possibility to develop shale gas. Unlike in Poland, there is not enough water to commit. There are problems of earthquakes. There are problems of desertic areas, differently unlike to the United States, where there are a lot of desertic areas to develop the shale gas. Shale gas could be an option for the European Union only in the perspective of diversifying the imports, not to develop like an endogenous source of gas. But it's an interesting option, and thank you for your intervention.
Hvala. Kolega Nikolić.
Ja imam dva pitanja.
Ne može samo zbog prevoda mikrofon voditi.
Imam dva pitanja, ja sam Goran Nikolić iz Instituta za evropske studije. Prvo pitanje se tiče razlike u ceni, odnosno koliko je skupi hidraulično frakturisani gas koji se postaje preko LNG-a, na primjer, ne mora biti, nego bilo kakav gas koji se preko LNG-a prvo mora da se ukapi pa da se raskapi, tako, koliko je on skuplji u odnosu na gas koji ide preko gasovoda, to je, čini se, vrlo bitna računica. Druga stvar se tiče, da li su realne opcije, vi ste nešto pomenuli, ali ajde samo da to pojasnimo, da li je realna opcija, pošto realno može Sirija da se zaobiđe preko Iraka i preko Irana, dakle, ako gas stiže iz Katara, on može ići preko Iraka, hipotetički, i doći preko Turske do Evrope. Takođe, pošto je Katar, recimo, i Saudi Arabija imaju velike rezerve prirodnog gasa, takođe i Iran je zemlja veliki proizvođač i potencijalno veliki proizvođač gasa gasa, dakle, hipotetički bi moglo preko iransko-turske granice pod uslovom da se nađe neki modus i politički među te dve zemlje. Dakle, to je jedna mogućnost koja meni nije jasna, ako već želi da se Rusija ostrakuje, onda zašto se te dve opcije, dakle, ne aktiviraju. I još jedna stvar bih dodao, to isto nije jasno, imajući u vidu da ruski budžet se odnos 4:1 su prihodi od gasa i nafte za naftu i odnos u izvozu za Rusiju 4:1 su prihodi od nafte i gasa opet korist nafte. Dakle, meni se čini da pitanje gasa je za Rusiju nije u pokušaju da se izoluje Rusija, da se oslabi njen ekonomski položaj, to nije tako efektna strategija, budući da naftu će uvek moći da proda Rusija na svetskom tržištu, zato što je to relativno jednostavno i ne možete da izolujete. Ako želite da je gas izolujete, to jeste efektno, ali imajući u vidu da je to samo četvrtina prihoda, dakle polovina budžetskih prihoda su gas i nafta zajedno, a od toga je, dakle, 1/5 tek otpada na gas. Isti slučaj je, kažem, i odnos u slučaju izvoza i uvoza. Dakle, nije mi jasna sama strategija, čini mi se ne priča o gasu i o pokušaju da se Rusija na taj način izoluje, više priča, a manje ima suštinu. Jer prosto to za Rusiju čak da izgubi sve prihode od gasa, to će smanjiti budžetske prihode u odnosu na naftu tek relativno malo.
So, concerning prices, currently we can also consider that the exports from the United States are possible because prices are allow United States to implement the strategy of the shale revolution. But the production in the Middle East, I think that the comparison is $5 for barrel in Saudi Arabia in the Middle East to $40–50 for barrel in the United States. So it is evident that only in this situation of low prices it could be a competition, but Middle East countries could face this bad scenario with a lot of money that allocated in sovereign funds and something like that in order to compensate this day of short-term bad scenario. The problem is that if the oil prices will rise, it will be a problem for the shale producers in the United States, because the shale technology is very expensive. The United States is the only expert in this sector, and in 2010 United States declared their will to help China in order to develop shale oil and shale gas reserves. So it's impossible to imagine a cooperation between the United States and China in the energy sector. It was a reality because they managed this possibility to influence the energy markets, allowing the capacity to influence also the prices. And I think that the oil prices will rise in the next month, in the next years, not to reach, to overcome $100 for barrel, but they could be high in order to boycott the shale revolution. Concerning the point concerning the Russian budget, I think that it is underestimated the fact that also Russia, in the economic terms, for Russia is profitable now to develop the Eastern vector. If we consider really Japan and South Korea need gas, but it is useful to speak with the map. Need gas. Russian gas is there. Only small connection in order to realize the possibility with LNG facilities which just exist, regasification facilities in South Korea and Japan. For them, it's a way to diversify. from Qatar, from other countries. For Russia, is a way to diversify at higher prices than the euro. The problem is the investment to realize, to exploit this gas and oil reserve in Sakhalin Island or in eastern Siberia, because European Union sanctions affected the energy partnership between Russian companies, Novatek and Gazprom in certain ways, with Shell and other Total and other European Union and United States countries to develop, because Russian lacks investment and technology to develop this field. And European Union sanctions opened the way, opened the floor to Japanese and Chinese companies in order to buy this market sector and to develop this sector. So I think that the situation will not change in the short, medium term, but will change. But the scenario will change because all the involved parts of this game, okay, this public Greek game, share the interest to diversify. It's not possible to follow like that, because it's not a question of energy relation, the buyer and the consumer. It's a geopolitical competition, because there are a lot of additional problems. United States which back projects which are not energy significance, but they are useful to limit Russian influence. Russian which promote projects which rise the dependence, the geopolitical dependence, not only energy dependence on European countries. Is a bad game, because there is not the energy interest which are prevalent like other. It is a geopolitical competition in order to win this game, downplaying the energy cut, in my opinion.
Hvala. Evo ovdje imamo ovdje kolega Srećko Ljubić, znači smo na taj bivši, pa ovdje dajmo.
Dobar dan, ja bih treba pozdraviti predavača, jer mislim da je jedna dosta interesantnih stvari koje jedan deo mislim da konkurajte sa nekim našim delištima. Ja sam inače član Odbora za Evropskog pokreta, a jedan deo može da se diskutuje i u formi nekog okruglog stola. Ali, dozvolite par komentara o opštoj izlaganju. Mislim da je prva teza da postoje međuzavisnost u gasu između Evrope i Rusije tačna, ali odmah se ona relativizuje pričom o tome da postoji geopolitička zavisnost, odnosno interes samo ruske strane. To jednostavno bi verovatno trebalo da se prevede na, kako bih rekao, na uzajemnu zavisnost Evropske unije i Rusije, odnosno komplementarnost priroda dva dela Evrope, tačno ono što se dešavalo 70. godina. Moramo posjetiti da je 70. godina, kad su građani prvi gasovod između Sovjetskog saveza i zapadne Evrope, tada je bio bipolarni svet, tada je bio hladni rat i nije bilo toliko polemike, bez obzira što su bile sankcije i tada, ali i sasvim jednog drugog razloga. Ipak, Evropska unija je uspela tada da postavi te fundamente gasovoda između dva dela Evrope. Danas se tom gasu prelazi pre svega sa političkog stanovišta i politizuje se ruski gas, politizuje se i iranski, i persijski gas i svi ostali praktično mogući gasni izvori. Sada to se naravno prenosi i na nas ovdje na Balkanu i posebno na Srbiju kao kandidata za članstvo u Europskoj uniji. Procenim da vaše izlaganje što se tiče Balkana i uloge Balkana u gasnoj infrastrukturi Evrope je jako precenjeno. Tačno kao što je precenjeno i članstvo zapadno-evropskih, ne zapadno-balkanskih zemalja u Evropskoj uniji, da je to na tako dugom štapu da mi taj kraj tog štapa uopšte ne vidimo. To je mnogo dalje nego što ste rekli da će biti druga zavisnost Evrope od gasa. Naime, Evropa jednostavno nije imala para da realizuje na pumpu i sad je trebalo da realizuje ovu vašu vrlo interesantnu sliku koju smo videli, koja nas raduje kad ćemo procjenjujem da je to jedna ovako idealna slika, voleo bih da ta idealna slika se ostavi, ali plaši se da je to jako daleko od budućnosti. U tom kontekstu, molio bih još jedan od vas komentar oko toga, u tom kontekstu mene interesuje da li je usta Evropa spremna da uzme svoju sudbinu u svoje ruke što se tiče gasa i takav je odnos Sjedinjenih Država prema toj novoj gasnoj koncepciji koji je gasa. Hvala vam.
I agree with you about. I want to. I like that. I agree with you about South Stream because really South Stream could be a real option for the Balkans in order to be involved in a wider energy framework and maybe connecting the country with the other countries which just belong to the European Union. And the Nabucco died, and Nabucco West also was not chosen to be part of the Southern Gas Corridor. And the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline is a kind of favor to Russia, if you speak in geopolitical terms, because they cross, as I mentioned before, other countries like Nabucco West or South Stream, cutting away the countries which need to diversify the energy mix. Another, then I will answer, I will try to discuss your topic. Another problem is concerning the concept of energy dependence. Okay, one of the main partners for Serbia is Russia in the energy sector. It's good. The problem for other countries is to make the politicization of the energy cards. Because it could be that, okay, Russia is the main supplier, that's okay. The problem is that a sudden interruption, if there is not other diversification, like to try to promote endogenous production of solar, I don't know, hydropower or waste energy or wind energy, there is a problem concerning for industry, for other problems linked to energy. Concerning United States and relation of the European Union concerning gas, I remember that in 2013 I attended a conference supported by NATO, and the idea was to develop a kind wider energy framework within the North Atlantic Alliance. So, if for the NATO energy security was one problem, maybe with the support of the United States, European Union could receive the support of the United States in order to lessen the dependence on Russian imports. But it is clear that it was only a discussion within a geopolitical framework, because the United States will not be able to help the European Union. Most of the LNG terminals, the projected LNG terminals in the United States, are in the Pacific coast. So they are oriented to, for the European perspective, East Asian markets, to supply China, Japan, South Korea, India, Singapore, other countries, not Europe, and a capacity of 96 billion cubic meters of gas. We can imagine that half of this will go to the East Asia, and 40 billion cubic meters of gas to Europe. It's good for the diversification, but it's not enough. 40 billion cubic meters of gas are one-fourth of current Russian gas export to Europe. It's not enough. Also combined with other projects, there is not the combination with other big projects, like the Islamic pipeline, like a southern gas corridor fueled with Turkmen oil and gas, but there are only projects It's impossible to realize if Russia followed to oppose, and Russia will follow to oppose to the realization of Trans-Caspian pipeline. Of sure, also Iran will oppose. Another possibility is the LNG facilities from Iran reaching the European Union. Maybe today there was the news that Saudi Arabia and other countries are opposing Qatar for personal link to terrorism and something like that. So there is a potential tension. It's not only in the paper that a potential tension in the Hormuz Strait will affect the energy security. Most of analysts focus their attention on the competition between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now the competition will be between Saudi Arabia and the other Middle East countries against Qatar. If Saudi Arabia creates a situation of tension in the Hormuz, Qatar exported 105 billion cubic meters of gas per year to the Western and Eastern markets. It could be a nightmare scenario for the global energy security. So there are evident threats to the global, which affect the global energy scenario: the transit route, the piracy, the transit in the third country, the lack of diversification, the smaller port of renewable sources, which allow to the traditional suppliers to preserve their position, like Saudi Arabia, the only one which diversifies, and like Russia. And the last remarks concerning your point, we are not sure about the future production of the United States. Between 2015, 2020, 2030, the United States will be an export supplier. But after, I think not, because there will be growing consumption, there will be other countries which will rivalize with the United States as a supplier, and also the possibility not to find other additional gas, because shale gas is also polluting technology. My last question, until 2015, California, which was one of the states of the United States more sensitive about ecology and something like that, the polluting liquid used for the fracking activities was reversed on the sea in California. There is not a law which hamper the states like California or a regulation for the waste produced by the polluted water for the fracking. So it's a real problem in the framework of the ecological system, even if with the Trump administration could be a problem less important than in the past.
Evo, ovako, predstavljati kraja, ovo imamo još jedno. Moje ime je Unfulfilled i dolazim iz Srpske agencije za energetiku, a također sam i član izvršnog odbora profesionalne asocijacije za naftu i gas koja se zove SNAG. Htio sam vam postaviti dva pitanja, ali na prvo sam dali odgovor vezano za komentar aktualne situacije o Kataru i prekidi veze Saudijske Arabije i uključen je samo nije. Mogu da moje ime je Unfulfilled, član sam izvršnog odbora profesionalne asocijacije za naftu i gas koja se zove SNAGA i radim u Agenciji za energetiku u Republici Srpskoj. Htio sam dva pitanja da postavim, ali smo na prvo već dali odgovor vezano za komentarisanje aktualne situacije oko Katara i prekida političkih veza
based on a strategy of 1.8 million barrels per day reduction of common production for the next 9 months period. And it's not hard to suppose that political destabilization of some countries, which are predominantly producers, has something with the actual global huge crude oil offer, which partly could relate to the war in Libya or to the international sanctions to Russia or Venezuela. The same occasion is with the countries which are at the same time exporters and transitors, like we have in cases of Iran, Iraq, and Syria. On the other hand, the link between political and economical destinies of countries which are not producers, but are the places that is possible to switch off the transit route on the route which connect export and import countries is not visible on the first look until we mention Ukraine, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, Eritrea, or Djibouti. We know that last three countries are placed in the state of Fabија Indea. Apart from the fact that they are energy corridors, a common feature of all those countries, besides weak economy, is the fact that those countries, in the military security terms, mostly rely on their own strengths, which means that such a country does not have a defense shield of serious military charge or even military alliance. Another common feature is that the destabilization of these countries is usually based on religious, professional, or national misunderstanding. If we take into account that almost all countries placed in the Balkan Peninsula are on the modest economic levels, some countries are members of NATO alliance, and some of them, like Serbia or Bosnia, are not. And if we add to this a long history of ideological, nationalist, and religious conflict, do you think that it is rational to look for Serbia to become energy transit country? Is this in line with our political and security interests, not you, Serbia? Is this safe position for us?
Kratko za one koji, što kaže, pošto imamo problem sa prevođenjem ovde, pa da probamo da saznamo. Dakle, gospodin Čulom je kratko izložio čitavu situaciju u kojoj su nabrojene razne zemlje koje danas imaju strahovite probleme, gde imamo od, ne znam, pominjene i Venezuela, i Džibuti, i Katar, i tako dalje, i ne samo da su zemlje proizvođači, nego i tranzitorne zemlje strahovito danas udružene raznim vrstama izazova koje su i geopolitički, i politički, i unutrašnje prirode i tako dalje. I polazeći od svega toga na kraju on postavio pitanje da li je u interesu Srbije, dakle ne samo Evropske unije, nego same Srbije, da postaje tranzitorna zemlja, pored postavljam povezujući sa mogućim političkim problemima i geopolitičke destabilizacije. I just briefly translated since we have the problem with the technique, and please do respond, and we have time for two more questions after that. Please.
Yes. Okay, you highlight the situation, the global energy scenario with the threats which affect this problem. I know the best scenario, the best option is a direct connection between the producers and the consumers. It's not possible, it's difficult to draw up a scenario with overland pipelines. Maybe in the case of China-Russia relation, they will be able to develop a direct connection between the producers and the consumer country. This is not the case for the European Union. Even if the offshore pipelines like from North Africa to the European Union could be an option. It is a way to diversify, also to develop offshore pipeline which could reach directly the producers, the consumers' country, or the transport on maritime routes, even if they don't have to cross some maritime choke points like we see about Bab el-Mandab, Hormuz, Suez, and other ones. So even if it's difficult to realize this direct connection, I think that one way could be also to develop endogenous resources, not to cover the entire natural gas or oil demand or the entire energy mix, but also to produce clean electricity, to try to cut the situation of dependence. Concerning the role of Serbia, I really believe that Serbia could play a role, but as I mentioned before, a role which should not, and this is the impossible evolution, which should be not linked to the rivalry of the opposition, West, East, Russia, European Union, United States, so only to exploit the geographical position, not only of Serbia, but also for Balkans. If we imagine that Middle East, North African suppliers, East Mediterranean suppliers, Caspian suppliers, the Adriatic Sea, the connection north-south could be really a corridor. As I will have the opportunity to speak on this issue tomorrow concerning the One Belt, One Road strategy. Balkans and Serbia are also strategic corridor for China. It's the geographic position which support this initiative and this policy. Not only for Europe, not only for Russia, but also for China. It's real. Many people say that, okay, in the Chinese strategy, the Western countries are important. No. The Eastern countries, the Balkan countries, are strategic as a corridors. So, Serbia and Balkans should exploit this geographic position in order to have a growing transit fee, in order to be realized in the territory some new or updated or renovated infrastructure, in order to lessen, if they want, the dependence in their energy mix, in order to diversify, to modernize the industrial complex. There are a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of gains, a lot of good cards to play exploiting this position. And also in the political terms, in order to not only to integrate with the European system, but only to promote a kind of regional cooperation for the Balkans, presenting the Balkans as a region, not several countries which compose a region. I don't want to speak, and I'm not thinking about the Balkan region as a kind of small European Union, not, but try to exploit shared issues in order to legitimize itself as a political subject as a region, not as a kind of European Union, in order to promote, in order to help the growth of this region. Only for this.
Evo da probam vrlo kratak odgovor. Dakle, na prvo pitanje kolega Iндеа je odgovorio da jeste tačno, to je po pravilu uvek problem, ali nema mnogo odgovora, dakle, nema mnogo izbora. Jedna od stvari jeste strategija fokusiranja na takozvane obnovljive izvore, dakle, takozvana čista energija, međutim, kao što znamo, to ne doprinosi zaista rješenjem problema koji postoji unutar Europske unije. Drugo, što se tiče ovog problema na koje je gospodin Čulov ukazao, problem je prosto nešto što ne može da se reši po prirodi. On je ispričao onu bolju stranu toga, a to je da treba pokušati iskoristiti to kao neku vrstu strateške prednosti, dakle, da to, i recimo da je prilično se fokusirao na situaciju Kine, da je za Kinu ovde je strahovito bitan strateški koridor i da to i Srbije i druge balkanske i istočne evropske zemlje mogu da probaju da iskoriste tako što bi dobile te investicije u infrastrukturu, u energetiku i tako dalje. Naravno, postoji ova druga strana o kojoj mi znamo, a to je treba izdeći prosto to da se oni kojima to ne odgovara naprave problema, to je ovo što je gospodin Čumov pričao. I posebno je na kraju zaključio s jednom porukom, dakle, da za nas sve ovde na Balkanu bi bilo uputno da na neki način nastupimo koliko možemo kao zajednički prostor koji bi u tom smislu bio atraktivniji za strance, a opet s druge strane i moglo, koliko gotovo bilo teško da se izvuče ovim danas teškim uslovima, da pojača atraktivnost čitavog ovog prostora, dakle, i na neki način pregovaračku snagu. I imamo još dva pitanja na kraju svog ovog problema sa prevođenjem, prosto bih vas zamolio da budemo što kraći i sa pitanjem i sa odgovorom. Izvolite, Stefano.
Dobar dan, ja sam Laco Vukalović, u nacionalnom sam konventu. Mi smo danas slušali celo vreme o onome na što ne možemo da utičemo. Da mi vidimo na što mi možemo da utičemo. Da li spoljna politika Srbije doprinosi ili ne doprinosi temi o kojoj danas razgovaramo. Uglavnom se zaboravlja, a ređe izbegava da se razmatraju stvari koje se tiču pridruživanja Evropske unije, vezani za energetiku, a odnose se i na druga poglavlja gdje je pitanje zajedničke bezbednosti i tako dalje. Evo i ja se ne usuđujem da postavim glavno pitanje, pa je svima jasno koje je. Vi ste rekli da gasa nema, onda ja ne razumem oko čega se Srbija to muči i trpi ili joj odgovara da trpi taj sukob na međunarodni geopolitički natezanje i tako dalje. Neću se usuditi danas, a hvala komori puno što je ovaj sastanak organizovao. Ovo je jedini sastanak otvoren u poslednje 4 godine, gde bi, ko se usuđuje za razliku od mene, mogao da kaže i sme sve što treba. Jedini je pre toga bio ovo otvoren u metropolu gospodina Somokosa i tada je ruski ambasador vrlo direktno odgovorio da energetika nije pitanje ljubavi, nego pitanje interesa. Ako Srbija predstavlja između ostalog i energetiku da je i pitanje ljubavi, da li je u stvari to istina ili se nešto iza toga krije? Hvala lepo.
Nas, osim Rusa, u ovom trenutku niko nema. To je suština. A Evropa ne smije zbog Amerikanaca da uvoze gas.
Fabio, I will try just briefly to summarize actually. Mr. Vaca Vukalović, who is here on behalf of National Convent for European Integration in Serbia, has opened one very important geopolitical and internal debate within the Serbia, and this is about actually our position in this, how should I say, conflict that's been existing between EU and Russia, especially in the last 2 years since the sanctions were imposed on Russia. And probably you know, or maybe you've heard, that actually since that time, Serbia, which used to have like 90 to 95% full accordance with the EU foreign and security politics, due to this problem, because Serbia didn't join the sanctions to Russia, now is somewhere about the 60 to 62% of the accordance with the EU foreign and security politics, and now it's being huge debate. So Mr. Vukalović actually reminded us what the Russian ambassador said like 4 years ago, that the question of energy is not the question of love, but the question of interest. So he posed the question, what is Serbian interest nowadays? So we have, just briefly, this is not the vision, you saw 2 approaches. One is insisting that we should, follow the reality, not only because of energy, but because of also our agricultural situation, in which majority of our agricultural products are going to the Russian market and so on. And the other position, which is saying that if we want to go to EU, we have to agree in a full accordance with common European foreign politics and so on. So briefly, you may comment on all this.
No, I agree with him about the lack of reality concerning the sanction, the Western sanction against Russia. I can only explain you the situation of Italy, because a lot of Italian companies which should respect the sanction against Russia lost a lot of millions, a lot of money of investment. So if there is not help of the European, okay, we will introduce sanctions, okay, and we can do it. There is no possibility. They have lost for the fashion, for the agricultural products. They have lost a share of market with the sanction with Russia. So it's also a debated problem. I completely understand your position. And there is the lack of support of the European Union or of the states trying to help the small and medium enterprises to try to overcome this situation. So and this situation is could be explained in this kind of unrealistic competition, geopolitical or not geopolitical competition involving United States and Russia, with the European Union are in the middle, and the European Union is not able to have a single voice to promote its own interest. And sorry for not the small part. The small part is concerning Germany. Italy is not a big part of the European Union, but Germany or the United Kingdom, which promote United States interest, then all the Europe lost the position, and it's economic weakness.
Okay. Da probamo najkraće, dakle on je rekao da u potpunosti razume ovu vrstu unutrašnjih problema koji imamo, zato što se slične stvari dešavaju i u Italiji i u velikom broju evropskih država. Rekao je da su sankcije nerealne što se njega tiče, da Evropa nema nikakav interes da ih podržava, dao je primjer italijanskih kompanija koje gube strahoviti novac i što je još gore po njemu gube market, dakle gube tržište tamo dugoročno, i po njemu je to rezultat pritiska Sjedinjenih Američkih Država gde su Italija, ali pre svega Nemačka bila naterana, jer Nemačka najviše gubi u celoj ovoj priči. Međutim, radi se o jednom pritisku za koji on smatra da je vrlo nerealan, ali će očigledno potrejati. Dakle, i kao što vidimo, svaka simlja ga rešava na svoj način. I evo, polako završamo, zamolio bih gospodina Vladu Marinkovića da postavi poslednje pitanje i da polako privodimo pitanje. Može srpsko, pa ću ja kako ga slobno.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Professor Indeo, and organizers, especially Gender of Economy, NIM Magazine, and Institute from European Studies for organizing this meeting today. I heard, as a representative of Parliament of Serbia, a lot of very valuable things and thoughts today from Professor, but from all of participants. I will be very, very brief. The best interest of Republic of Serbia is to try to diversify energy policy in next long-term period. First question is, we had a lot of meetings from representatives of the Department of State, energy policy representatives of US. Vice President Biden then discussed possibility of supplies from LNG from US. I'm interested in long-term supplying from that kind of gas. And you mentioned US politics in the future about NATO countries and some kind of support in the long-term period of supporting the supply of gas of NATO members. I'm very, very interested in the aim of geopolitical position of Republic of Serbia in the future periods, because of challenges we will have in the future about our geopolitical position, making closer ties with the NATO countries, United States, and European Union, and in the other side, closer ties with the Russian Federation. Professor Djukovic mentioned very, very important thing about importance of and make a lot of efforts to make stability, first of all in Serbia, in all of region, but I'm interested in information and your opinion about US politics and NATO politics about energy politics and energy security in this region. Thank you.
Vrlo kratko ću da za one koji nisu razumeli, dakle, potencijalni skupštini gospodin Paniković je iznao jednu državnu poziciju ovdje, gdje je pod jedan rekao da strateški interes Srbije jeste da se diversifikuje, dakle, ukoliko je to moguće, naravno, putem snabdevanja, i pomenuo je razne velike svetske igrače poput Joe Bidena koji su dolazili u Evrope, razmatrali na razne mogućnosti, međutim, do sada nije bilo praktičnih rezultata i ono što smo čuli na početku nema realne alternative. Druga stvar je, dakle, i ono što je njegovo pitao, on je također podržao ovu ideju o Balkanu kao celom paketu koji bi možda jače mogla da nastupi u globalnim okvirima, i ono što je njegovo pitanje bilo, dakle, to je zaista pitanje položaja, geopolitičkog položaja Srbije i Balkana, dakle, u sklopu ove pre svega NATO usmerene strategije ka diversifikaciji i na neki način potiskivanju ruskog uticaja. Sorry, please.
Thank you for your question. NATO supported an energy security concept which is based on the regular supplies to avoid threats to the energy security condition and try to ensure the energy security of the within the Atlantic Alliance. In this framework, for NATO, Balkans is important as a new step, unfortunately is like that, as a new step in the long-term competition with Russia. I try to explain. US LNG exports to the Balkan countries could be a good option, mainly for one, even if United States are not able to have a great production of gas, some tailored LNG exports from the United States to the Balkans could be useful for the diversification, because as we spoke before to start the lecture, because Balkan countries have a small demand compared with other countries. So it could be useful in terms of supplies and also in terms of diversification. 1 billion cubic meters of gas is nothing for the United States, but could cover, I imagine, 50% of Serbian gas demand, for instance. I don't know, but it could be a kind of option, even if it was 25 or 30%. It's a strategic for Serbia. It's a way to diversify, to lessen potentially the dependence on Russia, but it could be a way also for Albania or other countries. The situation is different for other big countries with a great gas demand. But in as a singular region, it could be a real, a complete option. Another problem is if this energy partnership has a second issue. For instance, a potential participation of Serbia or other countries within the NATO framework. So this is another problem which could also provoke the reaction of Russia in a scenario like that. I don't know, and this is not the question of the problem of today, because we focus on energy. But if the United States try to sell LNG export and the Balkan energy security with a good behavior towards NATO, this could provoke not only Russia, I think, but also China reaction concerning the improved relations with the Balkan countries. So the problem is how United States are able to play fair in this game. Really ensure the energy security of the region, or to try to promote other geopolitical interests. But in terms of energy security, I completely agree with you, which could be a great option for the Balkan region.
Evo, kratko, dakle, kolega Indeo je ukazao na to da je pod jedan Balkan u ovoj posebnoj etapi za NATO veoma važan kao korak u generalnom sukobu sa Rusijom koji je očigledan, dakle, koji se nastavlja i da je veliki deo ovih problema i priča koje imamo, iako bazično energetski, suštinski vezan za geopolitičke sukobe sa Rusijom i da tu postoji veliki pritisak što se tiče Sjedinjenih država, pre svega, ali i NATO. Drugo, pomenuo je da što se tiče Srbije, recimo, Potenciјal, on je govorio, dakle, pošto naše potrebe nisu toliko velike, možda bi tu čak Amerikanci mogli nešto da urade sa diversifikacijom, iako do sad zaista nije uređeno ništa, ali za neke veće igrače u Evropi to je nezamisliva opcija, jer prosto te potrebe ne mogu da se pokriju ni na koji drugi način. I ukazao je na to da, opet ono što je ukazao gospodin Đulov, da ovi problemi, dakle, dugoročno ukoliko se svedu na bazično geopolitičko nadmetanje, ukoliko NATO bude nastavio da vrši pritisak, dakle, preko energetike, nije, za sad je teško, otprilike on je formulisan, teško pretpostaviti kakav bi mogao da bude odgovor ne samo Rusije, nego i Kine, koja također postaje sve više zainteresovana za odbranu nekog svog utjecaja na ovim prostorima. I evo, polako završavamo, gospodin Čulibrk je hteo jedan...
Ja sam samo hteo da vas zahvalim svima što ste se odazvali našem pozivu i mislim da je sama rasprava pokazala koliko je ovo jedna veoma važna tema i koliko bi zapravo ovakvih i sličnih tema moglo još da bude predmet jednog otvornog zaista dijaloga u kome će svako moći da izrazi svoje mišljenje, slaganje, argumente, protiv argumente i tako dalje. Čini se da nam ta vrsta diskusije u celom društvu fali, pa pogotovo u ovoj oblasti, odnosno u energetici, kod koje, dakle, mi vidimo sve oko nas šta se dešava i ne možemo ništa da preduzmemo i samo čekamo da imamo konačne razlike, pa se to na kraju na nas odraziti, a ne možemo ništa urediti. Najgora moguća pozicija, ali pretpostavljam da u nekim drugim stvarima nije baš tako da ne zavisi ništa od nas, tako da ja vam obećavam zajedno sa Institutom za evropske studije i sa Privrednom komorom Srbiје, ovo je samo prvi u nizu ovakvih okruglih stolova i otvorenih debata na mnoga druga važna pitanja i ideje. Hvala vam.
Let me summarize. At the end, our colleague Julie has thanked you quite. He expressed a huge gratitude actually that you contributed here not with plenty of material, but actually you initiated our internal debate, and he insisted actually that is something that we've been really missing. As our colleague Bukalovic said just a little bit before, like the last kind of discussion of this kind we had like 4 years ago. So this is good impetus for our future common endeavors within this field, hopefully maybe again with you or with your colleagues as well. And just let me summarize, I also want to thank to everybody for coming today, and Professor Indea and our colleagues from me and the Chamber of Commerce that helped us to organize all of this. And let me just summarize. The first thing that we learned actually is that beside all these great speeches of diversification, for the time being the results are really not substantive, if we could say. And on the other hand, that was interesting that we learned from you that maybe Europe is happy for the fact that Russians still lack money for investment and for build and for technology. Otherwise, they would also already have started with their diversification toward west, toward east, which would make possible another problems for EU, which definitely will have need for more of energy, especially of the gas. And the other thing that I have to share with our colleagues, we spoke briefly, and Professor Indea informed us that actually Great Britain or UK is now showing huge interest, and if you want just briefly to comment about that, because I think it's a great news here, that they think now, coming out after the Brexit, that they think that their position in negotiation for their energy needs is much better, including their need to make some kind of interconnections to the Nord Stream. So actually, usually here that Britain is one of the biggest obstacles for spreading of the Russia into European market, and now we see something new. Actually, that Britain is showing interest to enter into Russian market and to grab the gas from Russians, and in that sense to help its internal diversification. Just briefly to translate, and you may end up, it's not about Ja sam zahvalio svima što su došli ovdje i profesoru Indeu i dve stvari sam istakao. Jedna je da smo učili dakle, da de facto ruski gas je neizbežan. Danas da sve strategije diversifikacije nisu dale rezultate i šta više da Evropa čak možda bude srećna na neki način našalio sam se što Rusi u ovom trenutku nemaju dovoljno novca za investicije i tehnologiju koja bi im pomogla da oni krenu sa prodajom gasa tamo gde se on evidentno više plaća što Amerikanci rade, dakle na njihovom istočnom tržištu. I druga stvar koju sam htio da podelim sa vama, jutros je uz kafu kolega Indeo pričao, a to je da Britanci danas tvrde da nakon Brexita se njihova energetska pozicija poboljšava i da će oni, dakle, bez, kako oni kažu, tereta Europske unije i ovog sveta paketa energetskog, pregovarati i ne samo da ne blokiraju, dakle, ulazak, znači, Nord Stream, severni tok, nego da oni pokazuju veliki interes da se preko Nemaca nakače na Nord Stream, da bi oni na neki način izvršili unutrašnju diversifikaciju i dobili još jednog direktnog snabdevanja. Toliko od nas, hvala vam svima i za kraj zamolio bih kolegu Indea da, please, Fabio, your final remarks and your question.
Yeah, but before this last question, I would like really sincerely thank you for the attention and the high-level debate, which allow me also to take into discussion some of my analysis, because it's really formative and exciting to change, sharing views with the expert of the region and with the expert of the other part of the area. So, concerning, I would like to hand this presentation concerning this some kind of new, because the expert defined the Brexit stream. It could be an option, because if maybe the European Union could find a single voice to oppose to this project, which break all European rules concerning the third package and other, because if the Nord Stream 1 could not be used for the entire capacity, because break the rules, I don't understand, because the Nord Stream 2 will break equal the European rules. So, if when Great Britain will go out the European Union, the United Kingdom will not respect the third package energy. So, it's a good market, it's a good option also for Russia to diversify the Europe, not European Union, but Europe exports, lucrative markets in order to have technology, in order to have investment, to develop the Russian gas field with the main energy companies, some of the main companies in the world. So it's a real option, and even if now another problem could be for environmental problems linked to the realization of another offshore branch in the Baltic Sea, and the Sweden, Denmark, which could oppose to the realization of this new one project. Also because this EUGAL pipeline is a clear attempt of Russia to boycott the southern gas corridors. Because if EUGAL is good for the Western, but if you plan to prolong EUGAL to the southern Europe, from Baumgarten to the Balkans, it is evident that they try to boycott the southern gas corridor, even if, in the terms of security of supply, could be additional gas to enhance the energy security. My last remarks, the problem is that all European Union and Russia will necessarily find alternative routes, alternative partners in order to escape from this kind of grip that enclose European Union and Russia.
Okay. Thank you. Hvala vam svima i dogovorili smo, ako još koji novinar prežive ovde, ako ko želi još 5-10 minuta izjavu ili razgovor sa kolegom Indeom,